What up? It's your girl, Justina Valentine.
We're the Shady Street Show Band.
What's up, y'all? This is Ron Bass.
This is Vin Rock from the legendary Naughty by Nature.
Rocking out with my Jersey homegirl, Diandra Marie.
And we're with Diandra Marie.
You're chilling with Diandra Marie. No doubt, y'all.
And we representing our homegirl, Diandra Marie. Keep it here. She's the realest.
That girl is a real crowd, please. Small world, all her friends know of me.
Hey everybody, it's Diandra Marie, and I am in the Bronx, New York because I had to visit one of my new friends, Ronald Draper. He is a 2016 NAACP Award recipient. He is the Director of Contemporary Arts and Culture at Harlem Hospital Center, and he is the head of arts at the Eagle Academy for Young Men. It's a mouthful, Ronald Draper. You have so much going on. You're from Harlem, so how do you feel being from Harlem and growing up in Harlem has shaped you as a person, as a man, and also is represented through your artwork?
Any artist you ever would meet understand that their work comes from their personality, if they're doing it the right way, right? Their work should come from your personality. Your work should be an extension of who you are and what you want to do. So anyone who knows me understands that Ron is, I'm not necessarily a loud guy, but I'm a bold guy. Harlem is all about being bold, being loud, and even being a big fish in a big pond, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to stand out when you're around people who don't really care to stand out, but it's even more so of a task to stand out when everybody wants to stand out kind of around you. So just in that translating through my artwork, that's why you see my artwork being real bold, lots of loud colors, never really muted, always something that you want to pay attention to.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's never as if I'm working on something that kind of just hides somewhere. I call it like elevator music.
Okay.
You all hear it, but
Right.
no one really pays attention.
Right.
So what are we doing, or what am I doing with my artwork to make it more bold, make you have to pay attention to it? And all of that kind of comes from like the Harlem spirit. They're always moving, always into something, always kind of wanted to be like the best and the brightest.
And I really do appreciate your artwork because I feel like you do put a part of yourself into every piece that you do. You're not just out here, trying to get extra likes and, just doing it because other people are doing it. And I really do appreciate that. And obviously, NAACP appreciated that too. I mean, walk me through that. What was that like?
To this day, I only know kind of how it happened through the story on the back end. Okay. So I got an email from Ms. Sylvia White, the chief of staff of Harlem Hospital, just saying that how the NAACP wants to honor me for the work I do in the community and the artwork, just like the nature of what my work is. They've just gotten a hold of all the work we've done in Harlem and understood that like you're part of what Harlem needs in the sense of the artwork you're creating and just the community base and just forward thinking basis of your artwork. They just want to just honor you for what you're doing. I'm like, wow, that's kind of pretty cool. It's one thing to be recognized for just like how your art looks, but if you're being recognized because of how you're making an entire community feel, that's much different. That means like they're recognizing you not just by like the amount of work you sell or the way your work looks, but just how you're affecting change around those kind of in your area. So for me, it's way bigger than the recognition. Just like, yo, this is Harlem and this is kind of where I am. So just being recognized for creating that lasting effect is kind of where I was excited to be. It's a really cool kind of space and place to be in where just being looked at as things, not just your artwork, it's the ripple effect your artwork creates.
So let's speak about your work. I mean, even though you do have your NAACP award and you are recognized for doing your work in the community, let's talk about the work in the community. Can you just tell people what specifically you do?
For Harlem Hospital, the whole thing that happened on a crazy whim, in which my connections or clients of mine at 5001 Flavors connected me with Ms. Sylvia White, who they heard was looking for a hospital or looking for art at the hospital. But everyone who was kind of sending work to her, she was just rejecting people left and right. Like, no. So they said, hey, Ron, give it a shot. Like, what's the worst that can happen, right? So I shoot Ms. White an email. Within hours, like, she responds to my email and said, listen, who are you and where have you been all my life, kind of?
Wow.
Like, I don't know who you are yet, but I know that I need your work in this hospital. And it became me putting so much work into the hospital that in my close relationship with the staff of the hospital, this understanding how artwork can change the whole dynamic of a hospital, right? So So think about it. People are there to heal, but in the healing process, it's not just physical, it's also mental. If you can't get past like your mental limitation, you can't get past like the kind of mental hurdles, it's so much harder to be in a good space when you're healing physically. So artwork changes that mental. It helps, it pushes it. It might not fix it, but it puts you in a much, much, much better place. There's so many boxes you have to check to be able to kind of work with the hospital. And coincidentally, that very narrow path that your work has to fall in and an artist's work has to fall in, all of my work happens to fall into.
No wonder she was looking for you.
It's easy to recognize something when you have it yourself. So it's easy for me to see something in artwork and in an artist when I have it myself. So she kind of just handed the reins over to me, in which I'm the guy now who's approving artwork going into the hospital, researching, helping to curate exhibits within the hospital for different departments that make the right sense. So that's how that kind of came about. Eagle Academy was the most random thing. I was doing work at this one school as like a teaching artist. They loved what I was doing. And somehow someone from Eagle Academy got wind of what I was doing in a very short amount of time. And they kind of just came to me and said, we want you to just be here more, and how do we make that happen? So in doing so, I've been working with them, helping to build their art program, helping to take the talents of all the amazing arts educators, not just visual, but the music educators, the different elective educators, and just how do we work into how we are building the culture forward? How are we making sure these men leaving our hands are leaving with a sense of vision going into this world, no matter what way they decide to go. If you go to college, yes. If you don't go to college, whatever it may be. They took the zip codes in each one of these spaces that produce the most males of color in prison, and they put schools in those zip codes. That's why you're finding those schools in these particular places, because this is the work that we do, and it's amazing work that we do. And then you have Take Care of Harlem, which is an initiative that myself, I do Kels Barnett, and my friend Melissa Mitchell started in Harlem because we were just sick of looking at what's going on. So people are talking about gentrification, how it's coming through and making all of these positive changes, but they're almost not seeing the back end effect where people are getting pushed out, where it's hard for me to be happy about the direction Harlem is going in when I see people hungry in the streets. So we figured, how do we attack both? How do we help feed people, help create opportunities for folks on one end, on the other, help turn the gentrification to opportunities to make sure that Harlem is still winning. Because gentrification isn't just about the money.
No, of course not.
It's about the money and just the stripping of a culture. So how do you make sure the culture is still there by empowering people who are of the culture to still be strong enough to withstand the storm of gentrification? So it's so many different parts kind of moving there, and between the arts, culture, entrepreneurial kind of endeavors, the three of us are working just to make sure that there are opportunities from top to bottom in the Harlem community.
Are you gonna run for president one day? If you did, I'd be there with my pin on.
Politics are tough, because politics come with so many strings that are attached. I love to operate in spaces where strings aren't attached. So politics is gonna be tough for me. It's funny, you're not the first person to say that to me, and I doubt you'll be the last, but until the state of politics change, my answer is always gonna be the same. And understanding that people have far more power than politicians. Politicians work for the people, it's not the other way around. So I'd much rather create the change on our end, where politicians have to respond, because we, the people, are so powerful in a sense that you have to kind of move the way we move.
What I notice in a lot of your artwork, even some of the ones that you sell, love is a huge part of each piece that you do. Generally speaking, how important should love be today with each other? I know we all have our own things going on, life can be hard, but how important is the aspect of love in life?
Yeah, love is something that covers so many facets. So even if you're not loving something to sustain you the rest of your life, you can love something enough to just do it an hour a day, 2 hours a week. Because there's so many people who do not like what they do. And that is, like, sad. Where a lot of people just working at these jobs and, like, they don't like their jobs. And I'm not saying that you have to full on quit your job, do what you love, but are you making sure that you're taking time to do something that you love. So if you work 40 hours a week, are you taking an hour a day, an hour a week, whatever it may be at whatever level, just to make sure you're still doing something that keeps you happy? And I'm almost betting, I bet the farm on the fact that if everyone was more happy with what they do day in, day out, the world would be a much different place. Every one of us has something that someone else doesn't. And if you're not contributing that one thing that you love, it's usually what you love is part of what your contribution is. If you're not taking that one thing and using it in whatever capacity, whether you want to work full-time, part-time, an hour a day doing whatever it is, or an hour a month just creating something that the world hasn't seen before if you created it, then you're stripping the world of something. And understanding that the more we kind of put what we love into the world, the more of a kind of wider view that we get of the world. Don't be afraid to make yourself relatively vulnerable by putting something that you've created out there, because you have no idea that one little thing that you think is nothing could be the world to somebody. And who would have known if that existed if you never would have kind of put it out there?
I mean, look at your story with the Harlem Hospital. Everything you were already just doing and putting out there, that's what she was looking for. That exact thing is what she was looking for. Of course, if you want to continue to keep up with Ronald, you can visit him, ronalddraperart.com, and on Instagram, ronalddraper_art. Thank you so much for sitting down with me. I mean,
having a seat with me.
it couldn't happen without the both of us here, right?
Absolutely. You're just responsible for this moment as I am, so give yourself a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. And, if you ever want to hit him up about running for president, because you're going to, give him your vote, feel free to hit him up on social media. Just saying, he could change a lot of things. So stay dedicated, stay positive, stay loved up.
Do the work.
Do the work. Do the work. And it's Diandra Marie, Ronald Draper. We're out.